Good news, bad news department. We start with Greece.
Yes, we are starting with Greece, and we're taking a closer look at its efforts to get its finances back on track. As you've been saying, Francois, Greece says that it is preparing an historic return to international debt markets. It's widely expected to sell 5-year bonds to raise around €2 billion as soon as Thursday. It's been 4 years since the Greek government last ventured into the bond markets. In between, Greece has had to rely solely on 2 bailout programs from the European Union and the International Monetary Fund. But even as the planned bond sale marks a turning point, there's a long road ahead for the Greek economy, as Delano de Souza now explains.
A nationwide anti-austerity protest brought Greece to a standstill on Wednesday. Protesters are increasingly frustrated that their lives aren't improving in spite of economic conditions picking up. The latest demonstration comes on the eve of Greece issuing its first bond in 4 years.
What they say about growth and returning to the markets, for us, the employees, it will not bring anything new. We don't trust this, and we don't have any hopes.
Greece has been kept afloat with a €218 billion bailout package from the EU and IMF. And in spite of the country's return to the international bond markets, the Greek economy remains fragile. Unemployment remains stubbornly high at around 28%. Newly released data indicates that after 6 years in recession, the economy could be turning a corner. Industrial production for February was up 1.7% versus last year, up for the third straight month. But economists warn it'll take time to turn fledgling growth into jobs.
Unemployment is a lagging indicator. So you don't expect to see unemployment to go down at the beginning of a new growing cycle. You expect the economy to grow, and then new jobs will be created, and finally unemployment will be lower, maybe 2.5 years ahead of now.
Unions say their anti-austerity message was also being aimed at German Chancellor Angela Merkel. She's expected to visit the country's prime minister on Friday.
Let's bring you some corporate news now. Japanese carmaker Toyota has suffered another recall blow. The company says it's recalling 6.4 million vehicles. The recall affects nearly 30 different models manufactured as far back as 2004 and sold around the world. They're being called back to fix a variety of problems. Toyota says there have been no reported injuries or crashes in connection to them. The recall follows a $1.2 billion settlement between Toyota and the US government. This as American officials accuse the car giant of making deceptive statements in connection to a previous giant recall. We're going to take a look at the stock markets next. Over in the United States, we're seeing stocks trading to the upside this session. American shares, they're being helped by a better-than-expected results report from aluminium maker Alcoa. It issued its quarterly report after the bell on Tuesday, which is seen to be kicking off earnings season. The Nasdaq up almost 1% this hour. The Dow Jones lagging behind ever so slightly, up 0.5%. Now, European shares, they were also higher at the close, inspired by those Alcoa earnings. We saw the CAC 40 here in Paris trading up by 0.4%. The London FTSE was up almost 0.7% meanwhile. Let's look at some other news in brief now. Car shares, they were in the spotlight during European trading, and partly due to record sales by BMW. The German car group sold almost 213,000 vehicles in March worldwide, 11% more than during the same month last year. The figure includes the BMW brand itself, compact mini cars, as well as high-end Rolls-Royces. Strong demand in Asia seems to be fueling the growth, but BMW's European sales are also heading higher. Russia's President Putin has told Gazprom to hold off on making Ukraine pay for its gas supplies up front. Speaking in Moscow earlier, Vladimir Putin said the state-owned gas supplier should seek negotiations with the European Union first. The idea of upfront payments was floated after Gazprom said Ukraine's bill for previous gas supplies stands at $2.2 billion. And the European Commission wants to introduce new rules on how top executives are paid. It's unveiled a draft law that would give shareholders a greater say on pay rises for bosses. EU Commissioner Michel Barnier says he wants a tighter link between salaries and the firm's actual performance. He says he's acting after some excessive pay packages had left a bitter aftertaste. Okay, I'll be back again in an hour and a half, roundabouts, with more business headlines. Francois.
All right, many thanks, Marcus Carlson. Time now for sports. Let's say hello to Dan Levy.